Hi everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Kenny Deschamps. This is the last episode of Build a Choir with One Voice. If you haven't seen the first 3 episodes, I'll link them in the description so you have a better idea what I've done up to this point. In this video, I'll add EQ to each voice and play a few tricks to help fatten the sound. I think it's going to sound pretty good. The song I've been working on the last month is a collaboration with acclaimed songwriter Cyril Rawson. We've named the song The Truth About Christmas, and I plan to release it myself in early December this year. So stay tuned for that. And many thanks to Cyril for agreeing to let me share the chorus section of the special song with you. Next week, I'll start working on a new project, so be sure to tune in. If you haven't subscribed yet, it's never too late, and it would really help me grow my channel. If you learned something today, please hit the like button. Got a question or suggestion? Leave them in the comments. All set? Well, let's get started. All right, let's start where we left off last week. Here we go. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings, more than red ribbons and white angel wings. The key to Christmas isn't wrapped in a box, and we learn love's the key that unlocks the truth about Christmas. Good. Well, let me get rid of that MIDI track first. It's called Mock Piano, the purple track. We don't need it anymore. It was just a reference track for me to sing that high part to anyway. Now I'm going to highlight all 15 tracks and bounce them. You can see that each track is in 3 sections, and by bouncing them, we combine the sections and end up with one complete file for each. And there we go. Next, I'm going to add some EQ to each one of the 15 tracks. I'm going to open my channel settings and just add some low cut to each one of these tracks. A pretty steep cut, actually, as you can see, and I'll use my CC121 to set the low cut. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it... The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. You can see there was a lot of low-end information there, and I've just gotten rid of that in the one part. What I'm going to do now is just copy the first selected channel settings, as you can see here, and I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it onto the next 4 channels. There we go. Let's have a listen to it now. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. That sounds a lot cleaner to me. We're going to do more EQ later on, but that'll be fine for now. Let's go to the mid section, and we'll do the same thing. We're going to open our channel settings, set a low cut, fairly steep low cut. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. The truth. There, that's a lot better too. You could probably see that low-end information just disappearing as I moved it. So I just copied that EQ setting from that first mid-part track, and I've pasted them onto those four, and you can see that they're all copied up top here. And finally, we'll move on to the low part. Same thing. Go into our channel settings. Put a pretty aggressive low cut on it. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. The truth about Christmas. Wow, quite a difference. We're copying the first selected channel settings and pasting them to the other four. There we are. You can see them copied. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. Yeah, that sounds way better, I think. Okay, I'm going to switch gears now and play with what's called the delay compensation in Cubase. And essentially, I'm moving tracks slightly to the left and slightly to the right just to get those slight imperfections that choirs have. The first high track, I moved to the left about 40 milliseconds. The second one was minus 20 milliseconds. The third one, high 3, I've left untouched. The fourth and fifth, I've moved ahead 20, or I should say behind 20 and behind 40. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. That's quite a bit fatter. And we're going to do the same thing with the midsections. That one is behind 40 milliseconds. The second one is 20 milliseconds. The third one, again, we're just going to leave right where it needs to be, so it won't be varied at all. The fourth one, we're going to move to the right 20 milliseconds. And the fifth one, 40 milliseconds. There we go. Okay, we're going to just burn through the low section. Basically, you know the drill now. It's the same thing for the low section. Each of the 5 tracks. I'm going to move 2 to the left, 1's going to stay centered, and 2 to the right. I have to be careful not to move them too far. It will start sounding kind of wonky, but I don't think that's too far. Let's listen to all 15 tracks now. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. Okay, we're switching gears one more time. We're going up to the top of the screen there, and we're going to mess with the pitch a little bit. We're going to raise it up 12 cents. Second one, 6 cents above the pitch. The third one, we're leaving at 0. And the fourth and fifth tracks, we're going to lower. Again, these slight imperfections kind of mimics a choir, because in a choir you've got these different voices and none of them are exactly the same. So this is what we're trying to emulate here. We're doing the same thing for the mid part and the low part. And we'll give it a listen again. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. Yeah, it's starting to sound a little better every time. And now the next step is I will create group tracks for each of the 3 sections, and I'll feed each of the 5 channels into one of the group tracks. So here I'm creating a group track for all the high voices. And doing the same thing for the middle voices. Creating a group track. Right, and then I'm pasting the rest of the mids to that one group track. And finally, I'll create a group track for the low voices. Okay, we're almost done here. What I'm going to do is find another doubler, and I'm looking for the isotope doubler. There it is. I don't know why, but this thing is free, and it's excellent. Let's hear what it sounds like with the high voices group. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. Wow, very nice. We're going to keep it at that setting and copy the insert setting for the second and third group tracks. Let me set up soloing for all of the group tracks now, and we'll listen to the whole bed track with the choir. I can't wait. I'm so excited. The joy that it brings, more than red ribbons and white angel wings. The key to Christmas is wrapped in a box, and we learn love's the key that unlocks the truth about Christmas. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. More than red ribbons and white angel wings. The key to Christmas is wrapped in a box, and we learn love's the key that unlocks the truth about Christmas. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. More than red ribbons and white angel wings. The key to Christmas is wrapped in a box, and we learn love's the key that unlocks the truth about Christmas. The truth about Christmas, the joy that it brings. Thanks for hanging in there with me for the last 4 episodes. This pandemic is still raging, so I'm glad I did this. My choir actually sounds pretty good, but there's still work to do. I haven't done any fine EQing or compressing yet, but I'll do that on my own time and then get the whole song mixed. Next week, I'm going to share with you how I use the sampler track to create a nicely processed vocal interlude in another one of my new original songs. So until then, stay well, keep singing whether you can or not, and I'll talk to you next Thursday. Bye for now.